Today I'm going to show you how to make some things for St. Patrick's Day. Irish oat scones with a maple glaze, shepherd's pie, Lucky Charms iced latte with sweet cream foam, and also regular hot latte with Lucky Charms cereal milk. This is Irene is in the details. So let's get started. First thing, we're going to make Irish oat scones with a maple glaze. In this bowl we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to add a cup of old-fashioned rolled oats, a tablespoon of baking powder, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, and then I just mix this with a spoon to combine. Now I'm going to add half a cup or 1 stick of unsalted butter. That's very cold. I cut into pieces, little chunks. I'm just breaking them apart. With a pastry cutter, I'm going to cut in the butter until it's fine crumbs. I sometimes also use my fingers a little bit. This is what your dough should look like. And then to this we're going to add, in this cup I have 1/3 of a cup of cream, and I'm going to add 2 eggs to this, 2 large eggs. And 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm just eyeballing it. And then I'm just going to whisk this together really quick. Break up the yolks. And then I'm just going to add this to the dry ingredients. The scones, I always get in there with my hands. You don't want to mess with it too much. You just want it to make sure all the dry ingredients are incorporated. It will feel a little dry, but that's okay. I'm going to take the dough, press it. You could use a baking sheet, anything you have. Just don't grease it. This is like a baking stone. And then just spread it out. If you need, you could put little flour on your hands. You want to make about an 8-inch diameter. Using a bench scraper, I'm just going to cut it into 8s. Now I'm going to put it in the oven, 425, 400 if it's convection, 15 to 17 minutes. So I always start at the lowest temp and check it. So I'm going to start at 15 minutes. While it's baking, you can make the glaze. I have a pan on medium heat, and I'm adding 1/4 of a cup of unsalted butter. And to that, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of pure maple syrup. And we're also going to add 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. And we're just going to mix that until the butter melts. Let me turn this off the heat. I'm going to add 1 cup and 1/3 of powdered sugar. We'll whisk this together to get the lumps out. I'm going to add a pinch of kosher salt. And then I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of maple extract. You always want to do extract when it's off the heat. If you do it with the heat while you're cooking it, it's just going to evaporate. This is a tiny bit runny to me, so I'm going to add a little sugar. Let's check the scones really quick. Then I'm going to let the scones cool for like 5 minutes. Now I'm just drizzling the glaze on. You can put as much as you want, or as little as you want. Top it with a little bit of oats. And then I'm also going to a couple of sprinkles for St. Patrick's Day. So this is going to be for the Lucky Charms latte. And the first thing you need to do is make cereal milk using Lucky Charms. I got the St. Patrick's Day one. It actually turns your milk green. So I'm going to do 4 cups. Doesn't have to be exact measurement. It's equal parts cereal to milk. So then I'm going to add 4 cups of milk. So it's 2 cups and another 2 cups. I'm just going to mix this around, and then I'm going to put plastic wrap on this and let it sit. You could let it sit for a couple hours, but it's best overnight. Now I'm going to be making our family's favorite dish for St. Patrick's Day, shepherd's pie. So the first thing I'm going to do is peel so I could start boiling some golden potatoes. I'm peeling right now 2 pounds of potatoes. Now I'm going to cut the 4 potatoes just into chunks. We're going to boil them like you would mashed potatoes. The smaller the chunks, the faster the potatoes will cook. Now I'm going to put the potatoes in cold water and then we'll bring it to a boil. While that is cooking, I'm going to cut up the roast. Before this roast was cooked, it was 2 1/4 pounds, and now it's about just under 2 pounds. I've actually made this meal for years, and it always reminds me of my cousin Tony whenever I make it, because it was his favorite dish growing up. And I'd end up having to double the recipe because he'd eat a whole recipe by himself. So every time I make it, it reminds me of him. So we're just gonna cut the meat into cubes. And I cooked the roast to medium rare because it's gonna get cooked again. And I saved all the drippings from the roast and made a gravy. You don't have to do that. If you're interested, leave me a comment and maybe I'll make a future video about how to do that. And this is actually a bottom round roast. You could use a top round roast. You could use a top sirloin roast. I just wouldn't use a chuck roast. I would use anything that you would make roast beef with. So to a hot pan, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm using Kerrygold butter. Let it start to melt. And then to that, I'm going to add 2 cups of chopped onion. And then we're just going to let that cook for about 5 minutes just to get soft. So while we're letting that get soft, I took the gravy I made from the roast. I need 1 3/4 cup broth or drippings, and it's 1 1/2 right now. So I'm just going to add some more beef broth. And you don't have to do this. There's plenty of times that I have made this and I've just used beef broth. And it comes out fine. And then just stir the onions every once in a while. You want them to cook slow. They just want to get soft, but no color. If I wasn't using gravy, I would add at this point 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So it's equal parts butter to flour. And then I would whisk it and let it brown a little bit. But since I'm already using gravy it's thickened already, I don't want to add flour or it's going to be too thick. So I'm just going to add the gravy in now. And stir that to combine. And then now I'm going to add just 2 teaspoons of tomato puree. Now I'm going to just add some fresh thyme leaves. Now I'm going to drain the potatoes. I'm going to just put them back in the pot, and we're going to mash them like mashed potatoes. But before I do that, I'm just going to add a little black pepper to the gravy. Blend that all up. And then I'm going to add the meat to the gravy. I'm going to stir it in as I go. So some shepherd's pie put vegetables in it, like peas and carrots. So I serve it on the side. Makes it good if you have a picky eater that doesn't like veggies, but we like them. But it's just how I've always made it. Now you turn the heat off because you're going to transfer it into a baking dish. The original recipe says it to put it in a pie plate. I never do that, but. And then now I'm gonna make the mashed potatoes that go on top. I'm just gonna mash these up a little bit. Just using a potato masher. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of milk. And then a couple tablespoons of butter. And then I'm just looking for consistency. Like I want it to be a little smooth. And then I add some garlic powder and some pepper and a little salt. I'm gonna put a little more garlic powder and a little more salt. Should always taste it to see what it needs. And I might add a smidge of milk, a little splash. And then I also started the oven to 350. And now I'm just gonna spread the mashed potatoes on top. Using like a little gentle hand at first, because otherwise it's hard to cover it. Then I take a fork and just run it through the mashed potatoes. And then the last thing we're going to do is dot it with a little bit more butter. So I'm just going to break it up with my hands and just put it on the top every so often. Now I'm going to put it in a 350-degree oven for 30 minutes. Now we're gonna make Lucky Charms iced latte with sweet cream foam, and also just a regular hot latte with Lucky Charms cereal milk. Yesterday I put equal parts Lucky Charms with milk, and this is gonna be for the hot coffee, but this is the same thing except it's 2% milk, and this is gonna be for the sweet cream foam. Just strain out the cereal, push it down. I'm just going to pour this into a measuring cup. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I just poured the whole milk into a pitcher that's easier to pour. Okay, so we're going to first make the sweet cream foam with the cereal milk and toasted marshmallow syrup. We're taking 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, a cup of cereal milk made with 2% milk, and then we're going to add 12 tablespoons of toasted marshmallow. And then we're going to close this up in a mason jar. Whenever you want cold foam, you just shake it up really, really, really good. You get the idea. I already made espresso yesterday. We used Irish cream from a company called Shelburne Falls. I think they have the best flavored coffee that you can find. A couple ounces of espresso. And then just shake this up again a little bit. And then we're just going to top it off with a couple little So now I'm going to make the hot Lucky Charms coffee. So I added the cereal milk to the pitcher, and then we're just going to warm it up. I'm going to add a little splash of Irish cream syrup and a little bit of the toasted marshmallow. And then to top it off, I'm going to put a little whipped cream and some Lucky Charm marshmallows because they're magically delicious. Let me know in the comments what you make for St. Patrick's Day. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great St. Patrick's Day. Like and subscribe.